Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I am Brad, here with Doug.
Hi.
Today we're going to talk about the game The Tourist,
Mm-hmm.
which Doug recently finished up on the Nintendo Switch.
Yep.
I'm going to be completely honest, I had to watch a trailer for this before we started recording because I had no clue what this game even was. So you've mentioned it to me a couple times though, so what stands out to you about The Tourist?
The reason I want to talk about it is because it's a game that's part of a very particular genre, of which I only know one other game that exists in this genre.
I don't know if two
Um,
games make a genre.
I don't know. That's a good point. That's a good point. So the game it reminds me of this game called Tomba/Tombi, and the thing I love about these games is that like just describing them, they sound like the most boring thing on the planet. The games are you do chores for people. Um, you get a mission. It's a chore for somebody to do, like something to do, and then you go do the chore. Um,
Like, define chore. Is that like fetch quest? Is that like, hey, go defeat this? Is it like just a list of side quests?
so the thing that's kind of fun about these games, like when you think of like side quests, like think of Assassin's Creed, like you're doing a lot of different things for different people. But like in Assassin's Creed, and I'd say most side questy games, you're doing like three things.
Yep.
Um, but in the Tourist, and the thing that's kind of cool about Tomba, I'm going to kind of be saying back and forth, is like every quest is like something completely different. So it could be a mini game, it could be a fetch quest, it could be taking photos of something, it could be this, it could be that. So you have like essentially like a list of quote unquote chores to do, but every single task is like something completely different. It's like a different mechanic you're using. It's a different this, it's a different that. So imagine like if you had a game of side quests, but the side quests were actually fun. Um,
Does it have
uh,
an overarching story then, or is your story
it
just I like to do chores?
Kind of. So the game's called The Tourist, and so like what you are essentially, you are a tourist, and you go to like five or six different islands, and in these five or six different islands, they're all kind of like weird. They're not. It's not even weird. It's like they're just kind of like kind of Fiji, kind of the Greek Isles, kind of this. They all have sort of a theme of different sort of tropical island or
Mm-hmm.
different types of islands you would visit. And there is kind of a neat overarching story that I would say I was kind of unexpected going into it. I thought it was just going to kind of be this like, yo, you go to like little islands and that's it. But then there's like this sort of secret thing of like these monuments that like, oh, actually, when you go into it, there's this weird alien sort of subplot that's going on that you wouldn't really necessarily get from the trailer because it's like a game called The Tourist where you're just like going and visiting and doing chores for folks. But there's
I
this kind
said
of fun, yeah.
the trailer just looks like you're just walking around a town.
Yeah, no, so that's the fun part. So it's like there's parts where you're walking around a town, but then there's parts where you're going through this kind of like little adventure area where it's like these weird alien ruins. And then another part is like you're surfboarding, or another part is you're scuba diving, or there's another part you're doing this. So like what it is, it's a short little game, and then over the course of the game, you do a bunch of little different things that are very different tones. So like you can have these kind of happy little tropical experiences where you're just like dancing, like there's like a DJ and you sit there and dance.
Okay.
Um, but then the tone could completely shift to where you're in this like very dark sort of spooky area that's like very poorly lit, and there's like this kind of creepy music going on. You're doing something else entirely. So the thing I liked about this game is that it was constantly shifting tones, it was constantly shifting what you were doing, so it was like it was never boring. And then it was all over before any of that stuff actually, so like you never do the same thing twice, which is
So
very
like,
fun.
are they all good quality? Because I feel like that gets into like games. My mind instantly when you keep saying lots of mini games goes to like Yakuza and Shenmue,
Yeah.
where some things are definitely more thought out and thorough than others. Are
Mm-hmm.
these all good, or are there some
Oh
where
no, of
you're
course
sitting
not.
there
No.
going, "Oh my gosh, do I really have to keep doing this for the next 10 minutes?"
Oh no, absolutely. Well, the thing is, like, the mini game's not even 10 minutes long, so it's like 5 minutes. So it's like you don't even have enough time to register of whether or not the mini game was bad because you're already done with it. So it's like, oh well, okay. So it didn't like I would say like because it's so quick on everything it does that it doesn't really matter if it was bad or good sometimes because it's just like okay, well I'm done with that part and now I'm just
By the
moving on
time
to
you
the
even
next
get
part.
to the point where you could render a judgment on it, you're already past it.
Yeah, and I think the problem with like mini games, if you're thinking of like Yakuza and those other ones, is like you just feel like you're just spending too much time in the mini game. You're like, okay, I get it. All right, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Not like you said, like I'll do this for the next 10, 20 minutes, this exact same thing or this little bit. But in this one, because it's changing so often, it's like, even if you like that thing, it's like, well, we're done with that idea now. We're tossing it away. We're doing a new idea.
You can't go back and try it again or something?
Yeah, I mean, you can, but it's like, it's so easy to eventually master that thing
Oh, okay.
like there's like one mini game I had a tough time with, but it's just this very, very nice laid back game. And it really, really reminded me of a lot of like Mega Man Legends and these old PS1 games like Tomba, because the tone is so light. It just felt like I played it on vacation, and it felt like just a nice vacation, very easy, kind of nice exploring game. And like, honestly, I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. Like the game looks insane for some reason. You could say it kind of has this like Minecrafty art style, but just, I don't know. I have no idea what sort of magic they're running out, but the lighting in it is utterly insane. Like all these real-time shadows and stuff going on all the time. It's really cool near the end, because it does the situation kind of escalates near the end. And there's like some weirdly jaw-dropping moments for a game that's so tiny and so,
In terms of visuals, or in terms of just like story moments, or
it's like visuals. I will say the one thing that's like kind of disappointing about the game is that the writing is not great. It's very like, you need to do this thing, and there's not really a joke associated with it. It's something I really don't pay attention necessarily to like writing in games. But when it's good, you can feel it. You're like, oh shit, sure. These characters are talking naturally. These characters this, but there's like absolutely none of that. So it's like, I need you to take a photo of this, and it's like, okay, and there's no joke. There's no funny.
I will.
Yeah, exactly. There's like no unique characters. They're all just kind of like, do the thing. It's like, okay, I'll do the thing. I think that's actually like weirdly, like honestly, my biggest disappointment with the game, because everything else is kind of running. It's everything else is done so well. And because it's so short, like it's very easy to like analyze every little bits and piece of it, because it's only like I think it's like 3 hours long. Okay. So it's very easy to like take these pieces of the game and kind of parse them out and say, that's like, I didn't really like that aspect. And the writing is probably the biggest one, just because everything else just felt so sharp and so clean and so well done. Like they have some really cool mini games as well, like kind of like the Yakuza arcade. Like this has a Yakuza arcade.
Oh, nice. So you can kind of just go in and play like old. I'm assuming they didn't get licensed games, but just retro style games, or do they have licensed ones?
Yeah, they're kind of like they're like retro style games. Like there's a game that's kind of like F-Zero. There's a game that's kind of like every 2D game you've ever played. But they're nice. But it's kind of neat, because it's just like this one little distraction, as opposed to all these other like one little distractions.
So is this closer to a mini game collection, or is it closer to like a full-fledged narrative story game?
I guess mini game collection would kind of be the thing, but you are exploring. You do a lot of exploring of the individual islands.
So you can like wander around and find secrets, like that kind of thing as well, like in between your mini games.
Yeah, exactly. So like finding the, like, you might find a guy who's like off in like a far corner or something like that, and there's like a lot of like neat little exploration aspects of it. So I think like reducing it down to simply like a mini game collection would be kind of like, is Yakuza just a bunch of like mini games? Like, well, no, you're exploring a lot of aspects to get to those mini games. It's not just like a hub for mini games. There is that hub aspect that's like another really big important thing. Mm-hmm. I just like, there's also like, there's no combat. It's like you just go around exploring, doing chores, doing
a good vacation game, like you said.
It's exactly like it.
No stress.
It absolutely nails that tone too. So I don't know, it was a lot of fun. I really, really, really loved it for the time I had with it. And I just feel like a lot of people just like, it got buried hard. Like I don't think anybody's.
It came out in November of last year, so I mean that's not really the time to put out your 2 or 3 hour just chill.
Yeah, setting on like a tropical island in the middle of like winter.
Yeah,
it was definitely a weird time for it to come out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just want to mention, because I like Tomba, and I honestly like, I just haven't seen another game in that kind of pseudo genre before. And it's like the only other one.
So, last question before we go: best mini game in this?
Ooh. I'm thinking too hard.
I was going to say, that means they're all way too good, or you don't know?
No, because I think they're like just like fun, like little things you have to do. It's like, I think the thing is like, they're like it's just the fun little things you need to do it's not like one individual thing. It's like oh God. It's a hard thing to answer, because there's a lot of neat little moments, like sneaking into a nightclub because I had to just like change my suit. I had to change into a suit, otherwise this guy wouldn't let me into a nightclub, which is not something that's in other games, but it's just like you wouldn't expect sort of like a Hitman like thing in this little
game.
touristy game. So I'd say it's not like this one individual thing is really good. It's just kind of the whole of the game constantly changing and constantly asking you to do new different things.
Nice.
Yeah, super awesome. I highly recommend it. I think it's like $10. Yeah,
that's always a good sign.
It's a good
$10
game,
is a good price. All right, well, we are Workforce Gaming. You can follow us on Twitter at Workforce Gaming, and we will see you later.
Bye.